Hi, let's take a look at your final affirmation. On this particular problem, you have a system of equations, and I think it's easiest to solve by substitution because y equals 9x. So you're going to replace y with 9x. So in other words, we're going to say 9x equals 2x plus 63. And then you subtract 2x from both sides, and you get 7x equals 63. We'll divide both sides by 7. X equals 9. And then, since x equals 9, let's go to one of our equations. I like y equals 9x, but either one would work. Replace x with 9. So y equals 9 times 7. Try that again, 9 times 9. Y equals 81. So your answer should have been 9 and 81. When you did this problem on your work, you actually did this pretty correctly. You decided to use elimination, which was fine. And then what happens, you solve for y, but what happens when you went to the other equation, instead of replacing y with the number, you replaced x with the number. So I gave you most of the points on this question, but I just thought I'd show you substitution. This one, I think, works a little bit easier. This question, it says 1 month, Manuel rented 5 movies and 3 video games for $32. The next month, he rented 2 movies and 12 video games for a total of $83. Final rental cost for each movie and each video game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let M stand for the movies. The cost of the movies, I should say. And we'll let V be the cost of the video games. So our first month, he rented 5 movies, he rented 3 video games, and he spent $32. The next month, he rented 2 movies and 12 video games, and the cost was $83. He played a lot of video games that month. Well, I think this one is set, see how everything's in columns? This is set nicely for elimination. Let's get rid of the V's because I noticed 3 goes into 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first equation by negative 4. So then we're going to get negative 20m minus 12v equals 32 times negative 4. We'll use a calculator just to make sure. And that will be negative 128. I'm going to leave the second equation alone. So I'm going to say 2m plus 12v equals 83. Well, now let's add. Negative 20m plus 2m is negative 18m. Notice the v is going to cancel out. That's what we wanted to happen. Let's take a negative 128 plus 83. We get negative 45. Well, we'll divide both sides by negative 18. And the cost of a movie is, we take 45 divided by 18. We get $2.50. So $2.50 for the cost of a movie. Now we'll use one of our equations. I think I'll use the first equation before I multiply by -4. So I'm going to say 5m plus 3v equals 32. Well, we know m now is 2.5. So 5 times 2.5 plus 3v equals 32. Well, what's 5 times 2.5? I think that's 1250, but I'm going to use my calculator just to double check. Yeah, it's 1250. So we get 12.5 plus 3v equals 32. Well, we're going to subtract 12.5 from both sides. Notice the 12.5s cancel, so we bring down the 3v. 32 minus 12.5. That's 19.5. So then I'll divide that answer by 3. And we get $6.50. So we'd say each movie costs $2.50. And each video game costs $6.50. Okay, on this question, this is one you emailed me about, but I didn't get a chance to answer you right away. Your graph is correct. Everything is correct about this problem. When it says point in the solution set, just pick any point in the shaded region. That's all you had to do. And remember, it goes x comma y. I like 8, 0. But that's not the only answer. So there's more than one correct answer for this, but 8, 0 is one of them. You could have said 6, 2. You could have said 10, -2. Any point in that shaded region. Now, if we take a look at this problem, I copied down your work here. We have 2x plus 4y equals 8. 3x plus 4y equals 16. So you multiply the first equation by -1, so you get -2x minus 4y equals -8. We're going to add these up. So -2x plus 3x is x. The y's cancel. And -8 plus 16 is 8. So x equals 8. This is what I talked about in the previous question. It was this question that you messed up on. X equals 8, you magically change this to a y. So if you would have left it as x equals 8 and replaced x with 8, you would have had the correct answer. I think that was your handwriting that got in the way, not your knowledge of algebra. Okay, on this problem, this is that one where they try to break it down for you and go through the steps to solving a system. And I think they made it more confusing. But we start with the first one. What goes on from system A to system B? Well, notice the first equation, that stays exactly the same. The second equation, we're multiplied by -4. So you got that part right. Let's take a look from system B to system C. Now, on this one, they got rid of the y, didn't they? Which means in order to get rid of the y, we had to add something here. Well, if I want to get rid of this y, I have to multiply this equation, the top equation, by something to make sure the y's cancel. Well, I have to make this a -20y. What do you multiply by? Well, you multiply by -5. So what happens is you should have picked the one where we're adding. We're multiplying the first one by -5. And then we're going to add it on to the second equation and then write my answer over here. So if I take -5 times -9, I get 45. 45 minus 32, well, that's 13x. And that's how we get that. This one is kind of frustrating because you graphed it correctly. Both these equations are correct. But remember, when you write in ordered pair, it goes x, comma, y. So you had it backwards. It should have been -2, 3. The point 3, -2 is in the first or in the fourth quadrant. 3, -2 is right here. So that's not where the lines intersect. In the last question, we have these two graphs. They're graphed for us. And it says we got these two plans. He's going to compare. And it says if Ruben makes 275 minutes in long-distance phone calls each month, which plan costs the less? I'm going to blow this up a little bit. So I'm going to look at $275. So I'm going to go up on my graph to 275. Well, which one costs less? Well, that would be Plan B because Plan B is less than at this point. So that's what we should have had for this question is Plan B is the one that costs the less. Well, how much less does it cost? Well, if I look at Plan B here, when you're at $275, it's at $20. Whoa, that's really thick. Let me erase that. Make that a little bit thinner so we can see it. I don't know why I put it in parentheses. But at this point, it costs $20. Plan A at this point costs $22. So what's the difference between them? Well, that would be $2. Now, for what number of long-distance minutes do the two plans cost the same? I'm going to erase what I had here before. And they're the same at this point where they intersect. Well, what's that minutes? Well, that minute is 250. So we should add 250 here. If the time spent in the long distance phone call is more than this amount, which plan costs more? And so at this point, which line goes above this point vertically? Well, that would be Plan A. Plan A goes above it. So Plan A is going to be the one that costs more.